Alright guys, welcome back to Crazy for KV's RC. I'm Tim. Welcome back to my channel. On this week of the RC Garage Tour, we're on episode 9. A little over halfway through my collection of crawlers, and we're starting to get into some pretty capable, pretty fun trucks. So this week we have my Cliffhanger. That's the only Cliffhanger body I own, so I know it is the Cliffhanger. This truck is built on a VS4-10 chassis kit. Not the new slider based on the Phoenix, but the original chassis kit. You can still get them. You can always get them. They've had them out for a while. Just basically comes with rails and your cross members, and I think your skid plate as well. If you all aren't familiar with the VS4-10, it's a really robust, really solid chassis. Very stiff, very minimal flex. There's a lot of cross braces with some really good plastic in there, and it kind of is the foundation of a really good truck. It's what the Pro is built on, the Ultra, and essentially it's what the Phoenix is built on too. There's some extra stuff in there, but this kind of started, I traded a guy and ended up with an SCX 10.2, and this was intended to be an upgrade for the SCX 10.2. That's what Vanquish came out with it for. He had some trail axles for it, and I took them apart, cleaned them up. The internals were pretty grimy, pretty dirty. It looks like they had been submerged in water. So I was looking at basically all new internals for those. And instead of just doing that, I decided to get some new housings, ones I liked a little bit more. So this is actually the first truck I got metal Vanquish axles for, the housings being, and they're actually really quite impressive. So, yeah, that's the chassis. You guys can tell already that it's a Cliffhanger, but take the body off, kind of get it out of the way over here. This is also probably the first truck that I really tried to take a lot of care in how I put it together and kind of finished it. Tried to, I did wrap the servo wires and the ESC wires around a little driver and use a heat gun to kind of get that spiral effect. I like that a lot better. I did use some wire loom in this as well. Not a huge fan of that. It ends up fraying at the ends, and even if you burn it or heat shrink it, it doesn't really, it seems like it never really wants to do quite what you want it to do. So you won't see much of that on my channel. But yeah, this is actually a really cool truck. You guys are going to see its first drive. It got built a while ago, and it just kind of got shelved and put on the back burner because I had some other stuff coming. But I finally got it out, and I thank you guys for watching because you guys are motivating me to get out and drive my trucks, including a few that I had never driven before. So it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited, and I'm filming this after, so it actually did quite well, which is why it's so high up on the list, even though it's a truck I've never driven. You guys saw the TRX4, the blue one. I had never driven that either, but this did quite a bit better. So not included with that chassis kit is the transmission, and I decided to go with a axial style 3-gear by Vanquish. And I went ahead and got the Hurtz Dig, the version 2. Basically the V2 is the only one you can find now new. It's kind of bearing supported on both ends of the dig unit, so a little bit better support in there. Dig's a little hard to get set up. I found it a little bit tricky, especially with this truck, but once you get it set right, do it in a quiet room so you can hear your servo if it's humming or really stressing. And I also suggest don't go with the cheapest servo, because the cheap ones tend to hum really no matter what. Sometimes like you'll be able to pick your truck up and just reset it and it'll get quiet. So the slightest bit of pressure usually will make a cheap servo kind of chatter or hum. So get something decent. Yeah, get it in a quiet room and set your endpoints and just increase them little by little until you hear that hum, and then back it off a percent or two. So speaking of dig servos, running an EcoPower 120T. That's a almost 400 ounce servo at 7.4 volts, I believe. Way overkill for dig. You don't need that much. Now they make the 115s, I believe they are. They're low profile. They're mid hundreds, I think, as far as torque, and that's plenty to run your dig. A little bit less weight, sitting up high as well. and cheaper as well. So kind of all around a win. Those are kind of perfect for running your dig or your selectable overdrive on a truck like a Phoenix. Like most of my trucks, this is also hooked up to my Noble Fly Sky. I actually really like that radio. A lot of people don't. I've had no issues with it. I've been at events with hundreds of people and didn't have any interference problems. So let's talk power. This is running a Castle Copperhead ESC. It's a 4S cable ESC, and I am taking advantage of that 4S. It's hooked up to a Polar Pro 2200, and that's a standard 540 can, and I am running 4S on that. This thing's got pretty good wheel speed. It's not crazy fast. Some guys go with a 2700 for 4S, but I thought that'd be a little stressful on a Copperhead. It's not quite as robust as the Mamba X is. For servo, we got a Reefs Raw 500. It's a kind of a tried and true trusty servo. I think I have a couple of them, and they've been great so far. It's really fast. It's probably a little bit too fast for a crawler, but it does well. So for wheels and tires, we're sitting on Pro-Line BFG Krawlers, G8 compound. Very awesome tires. They pretty much do well on anything. They're kind of like the Pro-Line Super Swampers. I think they look a little bit better, a little more scale appearance. I mean, people run Super Swampers, don't get me wrong, but I just like the look of the crawlers quite a bit more. And those Pro-Line crawlers are wrapped around some KMC tanks from Vanquish. They're in the clear anodized, and yeah, all around great setup. Got some Crawler Innovations foams in there. So the only thing I really had to do any figuring on is the battery tray. The battery tray that came with the chassis kit it kind of is incorporated into the sliders, and since I was running the Cliffhanger, I decided to get the Rock Pirates Cliffhanger sliders. They're aluminum, they're bent, they're kind of like meant to perfectly form around the body of a Cliffhanger and kind of hold the body in, and I basically lost the ability to put my battery tray there. So instead of running just a Velcro stick-on battery on one of those sliders, I decided to get into Fusion 360, and it was like really the first thing that I ever designed. And I just designed a simple little battery tray, printed it in PETG, and just because of, it might sit out in the sun or the battery might get warm, PLA is not nearly as hardy as PETG, but yeah, it turned out great. And if anyone wants it, anyone has one of these and doesn't like the battery setup, let me know. I'll send you the file, or I'll create a Thingiverse and post it up on there. For shocks, we're sitting on Incision. They're original 90mm shocks. They're pretty good. They tend to leak quite a bit. They leak a lot worse than the S8E shocks, the ones that come with the Phoenix, but they do perform pretty well. And yeah, no complaints so far. As I tune it a little bit, I do have some additional springs, so I can kind of do a little bit of tuning for it. So we're running the bumper that comes with the chassis kit on the front, and then we're running no bumper in the rear. The body kind of sits right against it. The only downfall of these Vanquish chassis are the steering servo / the servo winch mount for the front is kind of tied into the front chassis brace, the very forward one. So in order to run like an aftermarket bumper, anything that goes to on the inside, I actually have a Ripper bumper, gray anodized. It would look really good on this truck, but you have to pull out that chassis brace and Dremel pieces of it off until it fits. And I may do that in the future, but when I was building this truck, I was being a little impatient, so I decided not to. Kind of same goes with the rear. This would benefit from probably a real simplistic rear bumper, and I may try to build something. I'm going to be getting into some metal work here pretty soon, hopefully, trying to learn some brazing, so this might be a truck that I dabble with, just building a real minimalistic tube bumper for the rear, kind of wraps around the body. But that's all I have. Let's take it out, let's see how it drives. First drive you guys are going to see, and I think you guys will realize that this is a really capable truck. It's not light. It's we'll toss a weight in right here, but it's kind of a tank, and all the VS4-10s are, but they do surprisingly well. This truck doesn't have the VFD transmission, so the center of gravity is a little higher than a Pro would be. This is kind of like a cobbled together Pro / Vanquish Origin, but it just doesn't have the offset front axles on it. So if you guys have an axial SEX 10.2 laying around and it's kind of gotten stale and it's just been sitting there, I kind of recommend looking at the Vanquish chassis kit. It's a great upgrade. It really stiffens things up. It's a really clean looking chassis. It's got a integrated fuel cell in the rear. You can kind of use as a electronics box and kind of keep them out of water if you run in any sort of moisture. But additionally, the axles are great, really nice. And then the aluminum upgraded transmission from Vanquish in that axial 3-gear style is pretty awesome as well. But let's get it out, let's drive it, and I'll see you guys there.
This truck is super quiet, especially for a castle. Nice and planted. Oh yes, that caught you. You guys already saw this just runs 4S, 2200 kV. I think if I had to go compete in a pseudo class 2, this is probably what I would grab. You know, I wouldn't scale out any points or anything, but I would need some drive time. I obviously don't have any, but it's kind of the most suited for this. Downhill. Yeah, this truck's really planted. The metal axles, they do get hung up on things, but they drop your CG quite a bit. Get this climb here. Doing some different stuff today, so you guys aren't seeing the same obstacles over and over. Oh yeah. User servo, it's your friend. It's the reason I pretty much always take out RTR servos. They work good in Tamiya kits, things like that, but you get bound up. Kind of 400 ounce inches is kind of my minimum. You guys see me running those Eco Power 120Ts. I like those for $70. They were just on sale for Black Friday. I think I bought 3 or 4 of them just to have. But I really do like that 500, 600. This almost looks man-made, but I don't think it is. Let's see if we can angle our way up there. Not gonna happen. That's alright. As I stated in the intro, you guys who have VS4-10s probably know they are heavy trucks. The first time I built my Phoenix with the 3 servos in it, and the rear cage setup, and that big body, I thought there's no way this thing's gonna do any good. But it actually performs really well, and there's a reason you guys haven't seen it yet, because it's one of, if not my favorite truck. Spoiler. So it's gonna be a few episodes before you see that. Yeah, I think I would put this a little higher in my list. It's kind of a fun little area. This was not a very good area for the Capra, but pretty fun with a more scale truck. Scale. The pinched and dovetailed body. Yeah, this is a really fun truck. I really like this. I'm gonna get this out a lot now that I've driven it. This is why I wanted to start a YouTube channel. It kind of forced me out of my comfort zone to learn some editing skills, some new computer skills, and to drive more, build more, and really enjoy the hobby. And hopefully teach you guys something or show you something you've never seen or a different viewpoint on parts or setups. I do not claim to be an expert. I'm pretty amateur when it comes to this compared to a lot of people. Never done a competition. This thing just eats what you throw at it. This is a relatively mild terrain, but I kind of wish I would have taken this to Cherokee Rock Village and really let it flex. Oh yeah, all day. Oh, I got cocky. I'll set it down. Use those front wheels, turn them, set those back wheels down. No stickers on this thing, just kind of a very performance-based rig. Alright, big climb here, straight up, pretty much. Just centered. VS4s are very durable too, so not that I think that would have broken many trucks, but their lengths are real durable, their plastics are good. I think their plastics kind of rival Traxxas plastics, just price difference. Alright, that's the end of the trail. Alright, thank you for watching. Thanks for checking out the cliffhanger, and have fun, get outside, enjoy the trucks you're working on, enjoy your builds, enjoy some fresh air, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Thanks for checking out Crazy for KV's RC and making it to the end of the video. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know if there's something you'd like to see me do or do differently. Open to feedback. Check me out on Instagram, that's crazyforkvs_RC. Link down below as well. And first episode of the podcast is live, and you can find that on Spotify or Anchor FM. Links in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.